Do you want to add controller detection to your game for whatever feature or reason? Stay tuned to find out. Also, person in the comments from, I think it was the last video, who wanted an RTS, I did see your comment that it's just going to take more preparation into doing the whole thing, how we want to break it down, and trying to fit things inside of these video length limits that I like to try to aim for, at least. So, I just want to let you know, I did see you. I'm not forgetting about it. Alright, so everyone, this is how we can get controller detection for the game, or feature, or whatever that you want going in there. And I've got commented here at the top what their little codes will show up as. Xbox controllers will show up as X input, gamepad. PlayStation controllers show up as like PS4 controller, PS5 controller. And keyboard is, of course, our default that's always plugged in. So we're going to call that just keyboard. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to connect this signal called joy connection changed. And if we were to take a look at the input and scroll on down to signals, we can see it here. Hopefully I'll remember to zoom in a little bit on this section. But we'll see it here. The input class actually has this one signal. And this is emitted whenever a controller is connected or disconnected. And that's going to be the source or the key feature here. So we've got that connected, of course, to ourself and to a function that's just called joy connection changed. Same as our signal, because it's not really much of a reason not to. I also want to note, if you're using this in the future with Godot 4, it's the same signal and it's still on the input class. So, you're just gonna have to connect it obviously a bit differently. So what we're gonna do is, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change my label, which I just created a function called change label, so I can set the text without repeating the same line of code over and over. So I change label to read out keyboard that we saw in the beginning there. If you're curious about my tree over there in the left-hand corner, it's just a basic control node that is holding my script with a color rect and a label on top of it, so you can easily see what's going on there. And I'm just using a camera 2D just so we can have a zoomed in look there. Otherwise, the text might be too small and not readable. So I'll just bring this in a little more here. Again, you can see we're just going to connect the signal. I'm changing the label by default to say keyboard because we know that's always plugged in. And then when that changes, here we go. We're checking rather if our input class has a joy name in index 0. If there is none, if that is not an empty string, then we obviously have a controller of some sort plugged in. So I'm just going to call my change label function that I made to change my text and pass in the first index item and our joy names. Now for the actual function from our signal, we get device ID and connected passed in. And we're simply going to check if connected. So if we have a controller that gets connected here, we're simply just going to call our change label and change it to our joy name just like we did before. And we're going to pass in device ID. Else, as we're going to do there. So if it's not connected, right, if we have a disconnection signal sent to us, which will be a false connected, that gets passed in. So in our else, we're just going to change our label back to being keyboard. And that's all we have to do. It's very simple to do. And as I said up at the top, we have our comments there showing you what an Xbox controller, PlayStation, and of course our keyboard is going to show up as. So if I go ahead and run this, and I plug my controller back in, you can see it changes there. And if we were to leave that plugged in and boot this up, we can see the controller is detected right from the start. Boom, so we got keyboard, I plug it in, PS4 controller, And if you just give me one moment here to open this up to emulate my PS4 controller as an Xbox controller. And I have confirmed this with an actual Xbox controller thanks to a friend. Once this boots up, there you go. You see there's how an Xbox controller is shown. So there you go. There's all of our full connections there for the different controllers, how to detect them. Xbox. So we have Xbox. Then we have our keyboard there. And then, of course, PlayStation, I got to reconnect that. Our PS4 controller. Alright, so there you go. There's how you can connect these controllers. If you want to see something specific in the video, leave it down below. And I'll see you in the next one.